Hi guys, I am centaurianmudpig and welcome along to what I'm going to call my review for Eterium, or why should I buy Eterium? Now, I've spent a good amount of hours with this game. I finished the campaign and I've also, I'm doing a let's play with it, which is currently it's already recorded, it's being uploaded and it's going out on a daily basis with 20 episodes coming out for it. So I thought, rather than wait till the end, I'd do a video review. Now, I've already written a review on Steam, and I thought, well, rather than me redoing a review, I would just read that review out to you and save you from actually reading it, because not everyone has enough time to read stuff. Anyway, if you're interested in Ethereum, you're interested in space combat, I recommend you go and buy it now, so that's the end of your review. Otherwise, keep on watching and listening. If you know where to look, you can find a fair amount of recently released, in the last 5 years, space combat games about, but not as many of them are actually any good. I'm pleased to say that Eterium is not one of those and is a fun game which holds your interest long enough to get through the campaign, which will probably take at least 8 hours. If you go through all the dialogue in between the missions. I was a bit disappointed to find that I could not name my pilot, given that all dialogue is text-based. They attempt to flesh out our character with a backstory and is far from a silent protagonist. I was also surprised to see that you could not gain rank after being demoted early on in the game. I actually expected a way to recover and improve my rank during the campaign. I also found it hard to make my way up the kill board. Maybe my piloting skills were just not up to scratch, but I consistently found myself at the bottom of the rankings. Eterium supports joystick, Xbox 360 pad, and keyboard and mouse controls. I played with the 360 pad and found that all the controls needed to play were accessible solely through the pad's buttons. The default layout worked well, with the exception of the afterburners, which to pop some enemies required you to afterburner and fire at the same time, and it felt cumbersome. That's because it was on the right trigger and right bumper. Controlling your ship with a pad is easy, and some space effects will be pleased to know that you can actually roll your ship, which is done with a right thumbstick. If you've played Wing Commander 1, then it's a very similar experience to how the game plays out. Before and in between missions, you can go around the ship, between the bar and the flight deck, where you can talk to some of the other pilots and crew which play out the story. You are given a fairly generic briefing each time you fly out, in a similar style to the Wing Commander Prophecy briefing screen, and able to choose a loadout for your ship before heading out. Now the loadout for your ship is basically you can choose a selection of missiles. You can also get an extra fuel tank, so if you like to have to burn a lot, then you can sacrifice several missiles for speed. Also, the first few missions actually play out almost identical to how Wing Commander does. The first one is a routine patrol where you end up going through an asteroid field, and then the second mission is you're doing an escort, which is pretty much the same for the first 2 missions in Wing Commander. There is a Newtonian-style physics at play here. Fly forward at full speed, then change direction, and it will take several seconds for your ship to fly on the new intended course. This makes flying asteroids and minefields a little challenging at times, which break up the fly to nav point, kill anything that moves, move to the next. Though they're not particularly exciting to fly through. You must be careful with the minefields, as if you get hit, the explosive force will change your trajectory and can push you into another mine. Thankfully, they are a lot easier to navigate than the mines in Wing Commander. Also, depending on the difficulty, they'll actually either just float there or actually home in you. So higher difficulties, the mines would actually home towards you, a bit like what the mines do in Wing Commander. Combat can be annoying early on when you are in the weaker starter ships, and requires some practice to get the hang of lining up your guns to take out the enemy. Enemies are always faster than you, especially the light fighters, in which case these are called the Stra, which zip by before you can score enough hits to pop them. Thankfully they can be countered. wait till they attack, break off, and then when they break, turn to face them, hit the afterburners, and then you can blast them with your guns in the behind, as they generally fly straight forward for several seconds before they start to re-engage you. If you don't afterburn, they leave your gun range very quickly. The only other choice is head-to-head conflict, but that's practically impossible because they come at you at an angle, and given that your guns have sort of like a auto aim feature on it, the guns don't quite hit where you want them to. Missiles are more of a primary weapon here, a bit like in the aviation combat of today, which can be either one-hit kill a lighter fighter craft or soften up harder targets to finish off with your main guns. Now with missiles there's various ones. You've got friend or foe, which you just fire off and it'll go straight towards the closest enemy target. These are the ones which can one-hit kill the lighter targets. The Star, no problem whatsoever. Then you've got like seeking missiles, which require a lock time of 2 seconds, slightly less power, and can be evaded with flares. And then you've got torpedoes and dumbfire missiles, basically. So that's your range of missiles on hand there. If you've ever played Ace Combat is a game where you basically kill all the enemies with missiles. It's a bit like that. You can't kill every enemy with all the missiles, but there are used a lot more here than say in the first 2 Wing Commander games. Take hull damage and your ship systems will start to fail, ranging from guns to engines. Your display screens will also shatter, making it difficult or impossible to read them. Your ship has a repair system which will slowly repair systems to a point. It does not appear to repair all damage though. It's based on like the overall damage amount. So for example, if your shield generator is damaged by 26%, then it will repair it down to 20%. So that might occur where if you get something like 42%, then it'll go down to 40. So it's rounded off to like a tenth of a unit. Now I'm not going to say it's like it'll be repair down to 10 from like say 18. It seems to be arbitrary set points, so it seems to be like 20, 40, 50 or something like that. I'm not sure what the points are, but that's how the repair system sort of works. The graphics are pretty basic, and you could argue that Starlance and Freelancer have better graphics than in Eterium, and the ship's designs aren't very inspiring at all. Explosions are very generic and unexciting. It's mostly a lot of smoke, no fireworks, and when you destroy a larger ship, you can actually see the large ship just disappear, and then the explosion just pops around it, which doesn't cover it all. I have noticed since I wrote the review, after playing a few times, that these ships, when you do destroy them, actually have multiple explosion sequences like they do in Wing Commander, the first one, when the ships are going down. You see little explosions. Didn't quite notice it the first few times, and I'm sure maybe it didn't happen in some cases because there's some points where I was watching a ship thinking, have I downed it yet? Why is it not going down? And then all of a sudden my wingman says target destroyed, or the ship just disappears off the radar scope. So I'm not sure what happened in there. Character art is done well, though there are only one stance, like a pose, is provided for each character, making them come across emotionless when you're reading the dialogue, what they're supposed to be saying. It's like anime style, but it's more Western style than in Japan, how Japanese Eastern styles would be, and it feels odd how they fit into the backgrounds, which are pre-rendered in 3D. And what I'm said here is, I'm not saying it's just because it's pre-rendered in 3D, I'm saying that the characters are made more cartoony anime style, but the backgrounds and everything is more realistic, which is what the devs sort of were trying to do at first. They were trying to make more realistic looking 3D characters, but then they changed their mind. So I think they should have considered changing the background scenery as well to fit more with the characters, or made the characters' portraits look a bit more interesting. It is disappointing that there's no stances there, because if you like anyone's seen the odd like Japanese basic RPG where you got the characters on there. I watch videos on Steam where someone's done an RPG and you've got your characters there, and they've always got different portraits to show their emotions, whether they're angry, sad, shouting, happy, whatever. But in Eterium, they're just portraits just sliding with a slight shadow, and it's always the same stance, so it's a bit disappointing to see that. Sound effects, very plenty. You can always hear your engines burning, which was a bit annoying at first, but you get used to it. Over to the overzealous ejection warning alarm. When I said eject, it's more like when you're getting hit and then you've got this warning going off, and then you'll have this warning going off, and then you'll have the ejection system going off, which shows like oh no, it's like OMG, everything's in the pan at the minute. It's just like saying you're gonna die. But funnily enough, I've managed to survive more of those incidents than I have died, which I don't know whether it's just pure luck or me thinking that the system was a bit overzealous for the warnings. There is a dynamic music track, just like there is in Wing Commander, which changes based on the events during flight, so it varies based on like enemies being present, taking enemies taking damage. Enemies taking damage. No. Well, there might be that, but also friendlies taking damage from the enemies, and then like returning back from a successful mission. I also have to say that in all the time I've played the game, it didn't crash once. Honest, it didn't. Never crashed. And there are no game-breaking bugs. The only problem I did have is that when I closed Eterium, the process actually remained in the background for some reason. It's done that with a few of my Steam games, but for some reason it doesn't do it now. I spoke with the devs and they realised they'd done it. I think it's something to do with Steam though, possibly, or it could be. I've no idea, but it's not happening anymore and it's not a major issue. But overall, Ethereum's a fun game, definitely worth picking up. I got well over 8 hours of it. That's why I said like from 8 hours plus in the main campaign. It does justify the price, and it is well put together. If you don't like reading a lot of dialogue, then you can skip it. You don't have to read it. You can go straight into the missions. You don't even have to read the mission dialogue. You just skip that and you can go fly and just see what you're going to be doing there. Also, you can just jump into the simulator and practice your skills there. So I'd highly recommend it if you enjoy similar types of games. If you're not so sure about that, then there's a demo. I'd say go check the demo. I'll stick the link in here as well. I'll stick the link to Steam, because you can buy it on Steam. You can buy it on Desora, and I'll stick the link to where the demo is and the dev's website as well. But unfortunately, they don't sell it on the website, so you can only get it from Steam or Desora at this time being. Please, if you're interested in it, try the demo, and if you like it, do it. I'm telling you, the space combat's brilliant. Let me say, it feels much smoother than the combat in Wing Commander 3 or 4. Yeah, I play Wing Commander 3. The flight physics style is very different there. I say it's more akin to the style of like in Style Answer, Privateer 2, where it's much more smoother to move around, where you feel a little bit more floaty. Not floaty that you've got no control of your ship, but you don't feel like you've got control of your ship. It just feels more realistic, like you're actually flying through space. Other than that, I hope you've enjoyed this review, and if you have enjoyed it, don't forget to like and subscribe. I definitely could do with the likes and subscribes. If you've got any suggestions, comments below, appreciate that. Until next time, guys, game safe. Bye for now.